Hello and welcome to my show. I am Jeremy Speaks, and this is Jeremy Speaks On. Today's topic was going to be about the 33 dynasties of Egypt. I'm on the 5th and the 6th dynasty, but I've taken a small turn, and if you stay around and listen, I think you'll really get something out of it. Anyway, I would like to thank my listeners who constantly surprise me with their listens on my channel or on my Blog Talk Radio. I would like to thank them. I would like to welcome any new listeners. Hello, how are you doing? I would like to get out that call-in number to my new listeners since there are, if there are any, and you may want to call in. That number is 347-994-3320. I want to say that one more time, 347-994-3320. And I would like to plug my social media. I am on Facebook. I am on Instagram. I am on Twitter. Follow me, like me, give me one of those little hearts that Instagram says, whatever. I'm on social media. I do have a presence there. I did mention last Thursday about my I Spoke challenge. I didn't get around to it. I am going to get around to it. I'm currently being busy, and staying busy has its own rewards. My saying for today will be, when opportunity knocks, you better be at home to answer the door because it may not come back. And today I was at home to answer the door. So I want to share where I want to plug the other places where you can hear Jeremy Speaks On. You can hear it on Podbean, Buzzsprout, of course, here on Blog Talk. And I'm starting not to share as much on Facebook as I used to. I'm trying to explore other avenues to share, see if some other things may work as effectively. But from time to time, I'll drop a video on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and, of course, all these episodes that I record, all 30 minutes, can be found on my YouTube channel, The Negro Sports League. All right. I hope everyone had a good day. I had a wonderful day. My day was so wonderful that I changed the topic of today's show. If you read the title, you will see that I'm going to speak about the trillion-dollar market that is us. And before I forget, males of African origin, let's start speaking to each other. We better, because nobody's going to look out for us. Nobody's going to take care of us, and nobody especially is going to save us except us. And the only way to do that is to speak to each other. I challenge 5 of you to reach out and speak to someone that looks like you, just like I'm going to do. Anyway, on to today's subject, where I was at work and my mind was, thinking about the radio show, and I think I might have been on break. And I saw something that was talking about the wealth gap. So me being a naturally inquisitive person, I'm going to go and search for things that catch my fancy, right? So I did a little thumbnail research right quick, and I wanted to see, like, as a demographic, where do we, as the people of African origin, where do we rank in this country as far as a demographic, as far as how much money they get out of us and things like that? And I found a number that was absolutely staggering to me. $1.2 trillion is a number that we contribute to this, or it may be a little high, between 1.2 and 1.5. I'm going to be fair. I didn't find something that nailed down 1.2, but they estimated it was between 1.2 and 1.5 trillion dollars. That is buying power. Now, we have all these instances where we're only 14% of the entire population of this country. That's not a whole heap of lot, but $1.2 trillion. Companies will market their advertising and their marketing towards people that look like me, because I'm thinking that they're thinking, and it's kind of obvious after this point, after reading a little bit about it, that companies believe that if we, people of African origins, will buy it, then everybody else will. And there's some truth to that. Campaigns are specifically designed to target us, so we will think something is cool, so everybody else will think it is cool. I got to kind of I think I want to give myself a hand clap. Because everyone knows that money is a tool to get you to do what needs to be done, right? Money is also a tool to get things done as far as changing things. Now, we all out here in the streets marching, talking about this and talking about that, but it's not affecting anybody's bottom line. Once it affects someone's bottom line, things change. That's true with a lot of things. I'm not going to say all things, but things primarily will change. 100 years ago, we weren't perceived to be a market to be advertised to. You know? We weren't considered a market of viable, like, they didn't think that black consumer, I'm going to use the word black because in my research, they don't put males of African origin, they put black. But in the non-too-distant past, black consumers were all but ignored. Ignored. 100 years ago, we weren't perceived to be a market. It was, of course, social, economic, and political reasons. But, you know, like, I'll give you an instance of what I mean. Like, the majority of blacks at that time lived in the rural South, and they were kind of isolated away from the economic markets in major cities of America. Secondly, many of these individuals found themselves ensnared as peons and sharecroppers with little disposable income. And last but definitely not least, Jim Crow and segregation. We weren't even able to vote. So, of course, they didn't see us as a market that, you know, we can sell them stuff or this and that. And if they did put us in things or try to, they denigrate us. They denigrate us. You know, they would use derogatory images like the big lips and the over exaggerated eyes and the, you know, those things. They would use that in their advertisements. They'd even name, and I'm gonna go out and say it. I'm gonna say it with the hard R. They would use the nigger term in naming their products, or, you know, they call the children pickaninnies. Wow, like that's 100 years ago, right? But then something changed. Something changed. Great World War, because, you know, with war comes money. When the World War happened, people began to migrate to look for jobs, created jobs. You know, they go out and try to find something better, create better opportunities for them and their loved ones. That would cause us to go places, right? By the end of World War II, we were strategically, as a people, as a demographic, we were strategically located in America's major urban markets with money to spend, and that forced these. I'm gonna stop using the words that define race altogether. I'm not gonna use white anymore. I'm not gonna use black. That would, the powers that be at the time, they began to think in terms of, shit, we need to get on. We better get on the rise, because I don't care that they black. I don't care that they Negroes, coons, boys, whatever. They got green money, and I want that green money. You know, I even read that a growing number of these firms that, like the corporate firms that would sell shit to people, these corporate firms hired Negro market specialists who became corporate American black pioneers. You know, of course, they throw American in there, but they got to throw black in there. But they were the pioneers. This is what we need to learn about. How come we're not taught about people who helped companies market things towards us? This thing is deep on many levels, man. You know, having $1 trillion in buying power, you know, I see it as economic empowerment. But that market, that 14% that make up the population of the United States, that market is larger than the entire nation of Spain. Think about that for a minute, right? Spain, the whole country of Spain, us, just as a demographic, that's valuable. Because if there's one thing we know that people in this country respect, it's money. And I'm gonna get around to that in a minute. I'm gonna propose challenges, you know, like homework assignments, I guess. I also learned that the Montgomery boycotts in the 50s, mid to, I think it was like 55, 56, the Montgomery boycott remains to this day the model instance of organized, and I'm going to use this word loosely because this is what it was written. Scratch it, I won't use it at all. The model instance of organized consumer activism. That's what we need, an exercise in consumer activism. You know, companies create marketing specifically towards us. If we buy it, other people will buy it. That tells me that we aren't behind at all. $1 trillion will be missed. $100 billion will be missed. But we're not behind at all. We're unfocused. We, as a demographic in this country, are unfocused. These marches might not necessarily get us justice. These protests might not necessarily get us justice. But if you hit them in the pocketbook, things just might get done. And I'm going to give myself an obligatory. We, in the mid-20th century, we made them realize that our money was important too. Now we need to recognize that we can do that again. We could collectively come together with our net incomes, because it's $1 trillion spending all this and that. We could affect something by doing that. Withhold your money. Money hurt people out. Oh, well, why are they not coming out to see this particular movie this week? We got all the characters in it. They look like them. I bet if you start hitting them in the pockets with the money, some things may change. I'm not going to say everything. I mean, the desegregation of baseball in the 40s, you know, that was an immediate result of us rising as important. See, they want us as consumers. They don't want to see our face. They don't want to see our face, and this pretty much goes for all people. They don't want to see our face. The people that's on the level with me that get up and push the broom or work the 9 to 5 and have to do it, this is the level. We're the working class. They want to just work us, and then put us out back and take everything from us. And that goes for anybody. They only want us as consumers, because as long as we need stuff, we'll need them, right? Anyway, getting a little off topic here. But the key is we need to recognize how we can use our collective net incomes to bring about the dismantling of these draconian laws. You know, like the money's moving up, yeah. Great. Okay, what can we do with it? I did read where a congressman, his name was I think it's Reverend Adam Clayton Powell Jr. His advice was to withhold $1 to make the white man holler. And it changed things when people did that. That consumer activism contributed to the passing of the Civil Rights in 1964. Now, granted, things aren't, at this point in time, things were worse. Sometimes I wake up and I ask myself, do I really live in this world? Is this real? Is this legitimate? But I do know that if there's one thing that people respect, it's the buying power of $1. Now, we have buying power, we have spending power, but we also have a spending weakness, right? There are no historic black-owned enterprises right now, and that's a damn shame. With $1 trillion, it should be 100 billionaires everywhere. You know what I mean? And that ain't even scratching the surface. It's kind of sad, where I hear Jay-Z talking. He had a line on his song where he said, "I'd be damned if I go by Belvedere while Puff got Ciroc."